Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Hyper, and I am back after taking a few week hiatus from making content and just gaming in general to focus on family and health and stuff like that. I came back ready to go, and when I logged into Twitter to see what updates we got from Tomislav himself, I was greeted by this, and this was very interesting to me, right? It was kind of refreshing too. Immediately I was like, why is there a necromorph attacking a naked man? And then that just led from one thing to another. But anyways, let's see what Tomislav has to bring us from this first tweet about these new characters we hear of coming to the SCUM Island, known as the Black Shifters, or I guess he says that's not the final name, right? But anyways, on July 7th, he says, "Morning. It seems that you liked the Three Stooges from yesterday. Here's something you won't like. It has to do with radiation also. Good thing they won't be in the game for at least 1 year, so you still have time to play it before you ruin everything you love." See? I mean, it's kind of backhanded from Tomislav because he knows that SCUM community hasn't been super happy with everything he's been doing lately, but at least at least you know that he knows that your I guess criticisms are reaching him. He's aware, right? Which is good. But getting on to the actual substance of this tweet, the intro of this character, it's interesting. Let's take a more detailed look at another tweet before we take this apart. But like I said, this looks like a sloth to me, mixed with like a necromorph or something like that. Definitely looks brutal, looks mean, and this would be terrifying. And it's huge, right? When it's crouched over on all fours, it's almost as tall as a full-grown man. So, I mean, this is going to be something to reckon when we have it in game eventually. All right, so let's see the next tweet he put out. On the 12th of July, he says, "The Black Shifter, work in progress title, is a mature version of the shifter species bred by Tech 1. Also, I didn't have much time to answer your messages during the last few weeks, but stay assured they will be all addressed in the following days." Now, this one's kind of interesting to me because he said that it has to do with radiation, and then at the same time he said it's a mature version of the shifter species bred by Tech 1. So I imagine it was a mutation that they then took and genetically modified. Who can say? Because you can clearly see the Three Stooges he was referring to in the previous video about the nuclear power plant. That was an accident, but these might be partially an accident, maybe something completely intentionally mutated. We don't know. Knowing Tech 1 though, I mean, either way would not surprise me. Now, this is a lot more refreshing to me because I think it's a lot more grounded in what I think is viable in the SCUM universe. But again, that's my own opinion. I love the Wild Hunters as well, but they have taken them in a weird direction quite recently as far as the Queen goes and the baby and stuff like that. I mean, they kind of lost me on that one. You've heard that in my previous videos. If you haven't, go check those out. They're decent too. But let's get into a closer look of these detailed looks, starting with the little guy here, or I guess would be considered an adolescent or maybe even an infant. I don't know anything about their reproduction, but if we take a look at this thing, you immediately see that yeah, it looks very, I guess, visceral. Like, it looks like meat to me, honestly. It looks like a cut of very fatty meat, right, with claws sticking out of it. But again, it has those necromorph vibes. You see those vertebrae sticking out of its back. You see several exposed bones, that crazy mutated mouth with all those teeth, and then those long lanky arms where it crawls on like all fours in a very animalistic way, right? Look at those claws though. If we look at these, right, this immediately reminds me of like a velociraptor from Jurassic Park. That large main claw sticking up like that as it walks, and then this like sharpened scythe look to it. This thing would be really brutal. That'd mess you up pretty bad. And then the first thing like I noticed when I was looking at it definitely was its limbs. Like, look at that. You can't tell me this was not pulled out of Dead Space. Like, that looks like a necromorph to me, right? In like every sense of the word. Not to discredit the SCUM developers at all. Gamepires is doing a great job, but definitely I feel like they took some inspiration from that, right? And then on the bottom right, the next thing you see is you see this little ankle bracelet. Like, this monster's on house arrest, and let's be honest, I'm glad it's on house arrest. I don't want to see this running around in the open anytime soon, or ever for that matter. But yeah, let's keep looking. Again, this is kind of similar to what we saw from some of the concept art from the Spider Queen, I want to say, from the Wild Hunters. But I can't tell if it just doesn't have skin or if it's like transparent, which I think from looking at the zoomed in part of the forearm, I think we can tell that it is a transparent skin, and by transparent it's like completely colorless and clear, which is weird. Interesting design choice, right? Then we can go up and look at the top. It also does remind me, specifically because of its head shape and some features we're going to see on its head, it reminds me of the aliens from A Quiet Place. If you look at its ear over here, you can kind of see that it has that same structure of those flaps that open and close for the hearing, I would assume. And it does look blind. It doesn't look like there's anything where the eyes would be. But potentially maybe there are like some heat sensing pits or something like that, like a snake, you know, some infrared. I'm not sure. But it definitely does not look like a anything that was gonna be like looking you in the eye when it starts to eat you, right? And the next thing we see, it's kind of hard to tell, this mean mouth, this lipless smile with all those super long, super sharp teeth. I can't tell if this is like saliva or something sticking out, or if it's like a part of the body. Like from a distance, it kind of looks like it's wearing like a shamag or a scarf over its mouth. But I mean, it's cool. It's crazy looking, right? It also reminds me again, like this jaw shape and the way it's you know, grinning like that, maybe like an alien, like the classic xenomorph style, or even a licker from the Resident Evil series, right? This does look like all of those things to me, very much so. And I do want to point out that, in my personal theory, this is probably something bred by Tech One as like a weapon or something like that. You know, they're into stuff like that. They don't really care about the ethics of what they do. I mean, they have a TV show that's about people killing each other on an island. You know, like, I don't think it's too like far out the realm of possibility for a company like that, right? And the reason I bring that up is because this looks human to me, right? This looks like it's 100% a human that was like mutated and then genetically, you know, altered after radiation mutations to become this like monstrosity we see here. I mean, look at the collarbone, the chest, the ribs and stuff. It's you know, vertebrae, the way its like skull is structured, its hip bones and stuff. Like, this is very human. So I personally think this is one of the people, or maybe a result of their nuclear or radioactive, you know, experiments, and then they took it to another step. Classic Gamepires. And I feel like these guys might lore related or lore-wise be related to Mr. Brenner or the other bosses we've had sneak peeks at in the past, and definitely the Wild Hunters for sure. So I say this thing probably has a bloodline that came from SCUM Island itself, thanks to the tragic history of the locals before the company moved in, right? Now, I don't have too much else to say about it other than it looks crazy. This is going to be scary. Fighting this in game is going to be wild. I'm sure you're going to need some pretty heavy, you know, ordnance to take care of this thing. I mean, those bones look crazy thick. It's all muscle. I don't see any fat on it. Like, it does not look like it's going to be a good time, right? It's going to be an apex, and I can't wait to see it, right? So let's go on to take a more detailed look at what I guess would be considered the adult. Now this guy made me chuckle, right? Because this was actually the first picture I saw on Twitter of these, I guess, black shifters, right? And immediately when I saw this, I was like, that's an alien.
I'm gonna say, you know what that is? I'll tell you what that is. That's an alien, bro.
This is from the movie from 2011, Attack the Block. I don't know if you guys have seen it. You probably should. It's an awesome movie. But anyways, there's these monsters that come from space that start terrorizing this group of teenagers, and they look so much like this. You know, maybe minus the blue glowing mouth. Other than that, like, this is a spot on, you know, representation of that same type of alien, which I'm okay with. I love that movie. It just looks like this had to be inspired by that, at least the adult version anyways, right? But looking at this thing, it looks mean for sure. It looks mean. Let's look at the top, like the face. You can see that even more so, there's an absence of eyes, and you can tell like it definitely has got to be at least blind, right? And then you see those ears are a lot more protected and you know, hidden back here instead of having those little like flaps that I mentioned you would see from the monsters in A Quiet Place, right? And then the next thing you'd see is this it looks like a large BCU, definitely the same type of technology. It's got that triangular, like triangular with 3 spearhead shape that you see on the BCUs and other technology from Tech 1. You see it on like logos and stuff. Like that's the trademark Tech 1 thing, right? It looks like an arc reactor. Like this thing's the next Tony Stark for real, right? But aside from those things that like jump out at you, you can see it's got like this venom-like tongue. Again, looks a lot like the liquor right there. Looks a lot like maybe the hookworm or something like that. This thing's just like an amalgamation of so much, right? But the thing you want to like really look at is look at the size of this thing, not just the height, but like the girthiness, right? Look at this arm. If you hold this arm up next to the body, it's almost the width of the entire adult man torso. Like, that's crazy. And this is even looks like it's further behind him than that, right? Like this foot right here, if you can call it a foot, I don't know what else you'd call this little thing. Like that's the size of the torso. That's wild. This thing's gonna be massive, and I feel like this is gonna be one of the main contenders of one of like the hardest enemies we're going to come across in Scum when it comes to the story mode. Now let's take a more detailed look at the body. You can tell why it's called a black shifter. It is black in color. At least it looks like either black or dark gray, depending on the lighting, I would assume. You can see that its vertebrae are now covered up. I think that kind of looks like a wing to me or something in the back. I don't know. That's weird. It's got like this mane of hair, and that absence of color, or that absence of skin, I guess we saw in the juvenile, is no longer there. You can't see any exposed tissue or muscles or anything like that, or the bones for that matter, right? You just get these tufts of fur at different parts of the body. We can look deeper into that. It's got like a mouth on its chest. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's like these teeth, like these claws or something, that are kind of surrounding this BCU, and it definitely looks like they could be mobile. So it's got like a second mouth on its chest. That's super interesting to me. I don't know like what that could possibly be at all. Like I'm drawing a blank there. No idea, right? You look down, you can see the thing's ripped. It goes to the gym. It's got them abs, right? And this definitely looks way less human than, say, the juvenile does that we saw previously, right? But come on, like, look at this thing. It looks like a tank. This thing looks like a tank. There's also an enemy I'm thinking of that it reminds me of from another game. Maybe Borderlands? I'm not sure. I don't know. But imagine that. Like, it looks armored, right? On the lower parts, it doesn't look like it's very soft, and like it doesn't look like soft tissue. This looks like hardened, like a carapace of some kind, like chitin. And I don't think normal bullets are going to work as well as we would like on this fella right here, or lady, I guess. I don't know the biology of these things. Like, look at it; it's wild looking. But yeah, definitely, this is Attack the Block. This is a liquor. This is part human, part all kinds of crazy stuff. It's part velociraptor, part ape. Like it's wild looking. And I think this, again, this fits with the lore a lot better, because like, think about it. In Scum, you're working with a company called Tech 1, and if you completely ignore the Wild Hunters, this company is developing pharmaceuticals. Like, they develop phoenix and stuff like that. They're working on genetics. They're working on, you know, all kinds of stuff behind closed doors. You see their vats with human and mutant specimens floating inside of them, and I think this is definitely one of their more final products of that, or I guess more refined, if not less final, you know. So it's cool. I think this fits with Scum really well, especially if you look at the lore and the back history to the game and the island and the company itself. And I think the idea that this is a mutation that they bred is very, very fitting. Very fitting. It's not like the Wild Hunters for me, where they had me in the first half, and then they brought out this crap like telepathy, and then they brought out that stupid spider-headed like Spider Queen, which is just like, I can't take it seriously. It just looks so dumb to me. Like, it just looks so stupid to me. Like, it's so contrived, I feel like. They tried to make it look super spider-like and all that. I don't know. I'm not about it, right? But anyways, this is cool. I like this. Tell me your guys' thoughts, because I know, like, all of the things they're adding so far, or at least recently, have gotten mixed reviews from the community as a whole. A lot of people don't like the Wild Hunters and the other stuff they're adding. But come on, the game has puppets in it already, which are basically robot zombies, I guess, or I guess BCU controlled zombies. I mean, there's so many different directions you could take this IP, especially with a company like Tech One, with the advanced technology of a future cyberpunk world, like they could do a lot with it that would not really break the lore of the game or be like immersion breaking as the Wild Hunters most recent additions, right? I think it's cool. I love it. I can't wait to see this in the game. But I do hope they give us better things to combat them as well. I would like to see better armor. I would like to see better weapons. I want to see stuff from the developers of SCUM. I want to see some unique weapons. Like, we're getting unique character designs and stuff like that, and like novel ideas, like the Phoenix tiers and the way they operate. But I want to see unique weapons that we can use to combat these unique enemies. You know, we're in a dystopian future. Why do we not have these crazy futuristic guns that maybe Tech One left behind? I mean, they left their bunkers there. They left their experiments there. You know, they have all this stuff on the island. Why would we not see that as well? So hopefully this kind of will be put on a more level playing field with us with things like that. Better armor, better guns, just better technology overall, like a more end game thing. You know, I feel like this is a lot more of an end game thing you would see rather than the Wild Hunters as, I guess, faction wise go. I feel like this is maybe something used by Tech One similarly to the Death Claws and you know, the is it the Enclave or the Brotherhood of Steel? I don't remember which one controls the Death Claws with those helmets. I want to say it's the Enclave. It's hard to tell though. Anyways, that's what I'm saying. I feel like this is going to be used in game in a similar fashion where it doesn't have full autonomy and they kind of use it as like just really something they control to help them with fighting or maybe entertainment or who can say, right? But that's just those are just my thoughts. That's what makes sense to me based off of everything we see here with that BCU and the way it looks and how it came about, right? Now here it shows you like the full height of it, and if we're looking at the height of the the adult black shifter, it's saying it's just under 3 meters tall, which is interesting because that's like roughly 9 feet. Let me check to make sure I'm not wrong here. But that's huge. That is huge. Like, come on. Like, I think this is the largest enemy we've seen so far. That's like 10 feet. Yeah, this is almost 10 feet. It's 9.8 feet. That's crazy, right? Because we saw the picture of the Alpha Wild Hunter, the big guy, like the chief, and he looked massive if you scaled the tire up to the size of his body. And he's kind of like rivaling that in size. Like, he's up there. I think he's a little bit smaller maybe, unless that scaling was just concept art and it wasn't like a true to scale. But either way, like, come on, this is gonna mess you up. This is excuse me, got tongue tied there. This could probably destroy any vehicle in the game. You could probably roll it over and smash it to bits, is what it looks like. This is no joke. The baby, or I guess the juvenile's no joke either. If I want to say, for starters, I want to say the juvenile definitely looks scarier to me. This big guy on the left looks like he's big, lumbering, and slow. He doesn't look like he's super agile and he can't fit into tight spaces and stuff. But the little one creeps me out. I feel like this one's gonna be super fast. It's gonna be super strong. And it's going to have the agility that the larger one doesn't have. I feel like the small one's probably going to be climbing around, jumping around like crazy, and it probably could fit into some pretty tight spots to get you. You know what I mean? So I can see how both of these enemies are going to have their advantages and disadvantages against the players, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of interesting ways of engaging them and tackling them as enemies. You're going to have to get creative with how you fight them, and I feel like you're going to have a different fighting style for both of these enemies, even though I guess they're just the same thing with different stages of development. Either way, I am super hyped up about this. Like, I think this is really cool again. Like, I like this a lot better than the newer Wild Hunters. I'm specifically referring to the spider aspects of them. And I don't know. I welcome it. I welcome it 100%. I just hope you don't see them running around the island just, willy-nilly. I hope they are confined to their own lore-friendly locations, and it's not something you're just going to see all the time, because I feel like the scarcity and how unique they are, and like story-wise, that would just be a much better place to take them than them just being like an open overworld enemy. You know, I love Stalker, and I think of Stalker a lot when I play the game SCUM. And I feel like one thing SCUM could do better is having these unique creatures have a more fleshed out purpose behind them than, oh, they just exist out in the world. You know what I mean? That's just my personal take. Nothing against Stalker. I love that game. It's one of my favorites of all time. So we'll see. So yeah, I mean, that's where we are right now. I know I was pretty disappointed when I came back from this little hiatus because I saw the stuff that Gamepires was doing. The Danny Trejo DLC was a huge disappointment to me. Like, that made my heart drop because I thought Gamepires was better than that. I didn't think they were going to be getting themselves involved with these NFTs and microtransaction things. And it's like, come on, man. We expected a lot more from that. I feel it was kind of like a bait and switch kind of thing. I'm not saying it's as nefarious as that, or as like, you know, it's not like it was like this plan they had to just screw us over or anything. No, but I feel like it was a bit irresponsible on their part. I feel like they could have done so much more with their time and money, but this does not fit that same bill to me. This is kind of like a sweet with the bitter aspect of the new updates coming out, right? Which is, I think, intentional from Gamepires as well. I think they're trying to release the stuff they know people won't like alongside the stuff they know they will like to kind of, you know, again, you know, that spoonful of sugar, right, for all that bitter medicine. That being said, please check out the Danny Trejo video. You guys might think it's a hot take. You might disagree with me, but personally, I think microtransactions, live services, and you know, NFTs in games are horrible, not just for SCUM, for any game. And I think those practices need to go completely away from all aspects of life. I mean, for Christ's sakes, you have BMWs where you own the heaters in the seats, but you can't use them unless you subscribe. Like, that's insane, you know? And NFTs and these microtransactions are all what got us here. You know, it's just been a slippery slope, and here we are. Like, nobody should be surprised, because when you support things like that and you allow it, it's just a bad time. Anyways, I'm gonna stop ranting about the Danny Trejo thing. If you guys want to hear my full piece on that, go ahead and watch that video. But anyways, like I always tell you guys, I don't do this for money. I do it for fun. It's a hobby of mine. It's my escape from the, you know, horrors of the modern day world, right? And I want to build this community around gaming and SCUM and stuff, and I think that we can make that happen, right? I don't do this, like I said, for money, and maybe I can one day. Maybe I could make a living off this. Maybe I could do this full time. That would be amazing. But until then, I hope it's up to your liking as far as quality and content goes, because I can only do this in my spare time, right? So all of you that have been there from the start, thank you so much. I have my community features enabled, so stay tuned for those polls and things like that. If you're new to the channel or this is one of the first videos you've seen, thank you for staying till the end. You're awesome. And just stay tuned. Even if you don't want to subscribe just for SCUM, I do more gaming outside of that in general, and I plan on doing much bigger things with you know, my content in the future. There's something for everybody. It's a gaming channel in general. So check out the Discord, check out the Twitter, check out the Instagram. And just stay tuned for more, guys. Give me feedback. Tell me what you want to see from me and tell me what I could do better. And don't be afraid to give me a shout out. Say, hey, what's up? I mean, I want to talk to you guys. I want to get involved, right? So I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully this was, I guess, a good way to ease back into me making content again. And between the breaks, just know I don't leave just because I am getting overwhelmed or anything like that. I just have health issues. I've been in and out of the hospital and stuff, so that's why. Don't think I'm giving up on YouTube or anything, because I'm not, right? So until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Y'all are amazing.